Hi, welcome to my Pathways project. This is a kind of a good idea for a final project, and I'm probably going to steal it and have my students do something similar in the future as a summative assessment. Okay, so one of the things I want to do with the project is to make the web page more usable for the students is remove a lot of these extra menu items. If you look at this, you can see that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items that are grayed out. I'm not sure what's happening with those. Anyway, let's go to the next slide and I'll show you which ones I removed. So here's the new improved menu system. I've only included the most essential stuff: announcements, assignments, discussions, grades. Pages is great. I don't know if that means they can see it or not. I hope they can see pages. I like when they can dig around in this stuff, but I hope it doesn't confuse them. And then also I included class notebook, and then I realized later that is not a cool new feature, but it's just some Microsoft product or something associated with OneDrive or that other app they have. So anyway, I'll get rid of that later. So one way I want to try and increase engagement is by having class discussions. And if I've gained anything from this class, it's the idea of including the purpose, the tasks, and the criteria in all of my assignments, and including discrete steps for everything they do. Because something that's stuck with me from the readings is that when you tell students what to do, the comprehension is often not where you want it to be. So here's a class discussion. The purpose is to have the students familiarize themselves with the offerings of the Writing Studies program. This is an introduction to the English majors class. And I should mention at this point, I should have mentioned this in the introduction, is that I'm kind of writing this class as I take the Pathways course. And so instead of revising a course, I'm just creating the class from scratch, trying to apply the principles from the Pathways program. And so I'm asking them also to engage with their peers in this assignment, to respond to 2 of their peers, so that it's nice to get feedback from the other students and the teacher, and hopefully it'll help build a little bit of community. And I asked them to identify the major differences between the different emphases within the writing program: the creative writing, technical writing, literary studies, and English education tracks. And then to talk just a little bit about themselves, which of these areas you feel the most drawn to and why. And the criteria are: you will be graded on answering each prompt in a coherent and useful manner, and for meaningfully responding to 2 peers. So I hope that works.
Why are we in such a rush to leave?
So this slide should show some of the ways that I'm going to try and establish a social presence. One of them is to use a getting to know you video, and I'll include my own. And then even though a lot of the classes I teach are hybrid, so there's an online and face-to-face component. And what I find when I'm teaching a hybrid class, I sometimes get sloppy and use my face-to-face contact to explain everything that I didn't do correctly in the online course, or anyway. But I don't know if I should be confessing that. So I want to make the online part of the course a lot stronger, so that the in-class time isn't spent just fixing my mistake, but rather teaching. So anyway, I want to use a getting to know you video, and I plan on quickly responding to discussion-based reading responses. I found while taking the Pathways course that I really liked it when I got feedback in the class from either other students / professors or from the instructor, and I kind of look forward to that. Also, one way I'll establish social presence is by giving feedback on written assignments that the students do. And something I've noticed in Canvas is that when you annotate an assignment directly, that feedback isn't really obvious, and I'm not really notified that it exists. And so I put in a feature request, and then someone else put in a feature request, similar feature request. I got lots of upvotes in the Canvas system, so they're going to be making a change, so that the 3 places where teachers leave feedback, which I think is an important part of social presence, are in-text annotations, and then comments on the assignment page. There's one other place, I forgot what it is, I can't think. Anyway, Canvas is going to try and integrate those and improve the notification system, so it's nice to see them responding to feedback from the instructors, and hopefully that'll help with social presence, and also help so that students will read the feedback and make changes. Okay, so this is the additional resources slide. In the course, I have a module called Economic Realities of the English Major, and I'm actually having the students find additional resources and create an annotated bibliography, a collective, collaborative one. So I have an assignment sheet where they go out and do research, and I have it set up so that they, I tell them or show them how to use OneSearch within the UView library system and the specialized search language, and then I have them evaluate those sources using a criteria that I give them, and then they'll annotate the source or the sources, and we'll combine them into a single working document. So they can always, so we can get a picture of what the economic reality is of being an English major, where are people getting work, what jobs are out there, what jobs are not out there, etc. So originally, I was going to have a final research paper that talked about their career options, but I like this final PowerPoint slideshow with the voiceover, and if they can keep it down to 10 minutes, then it won't take me, you know, an eternity to watch all of those. So I'm pretty much going to appropriate this assignment and use that for the final assessment as well. On the next slide, I will show you the course outcomes and how that final assignment is going to be aligned with those outcomes. Here are the official course outcomes to recognize the various areas of expertise among English literature department faculty, identify career and graduate program options for English majors, analyze differences between curricular and phases, although sometimes they seem circular, within the English program, to assess the values, personality, interests, and skills through a self-assessment. I feel like the course right now, I need to add more to help that outcome take place. Anyway, so they're going to report on how they fulfilled each outcome in a slideshow with a voiceover narration at the end of the course for a summative assessment. So what I took away from the student success practices is that I saw that little presentation on what students want to get out of a course, and pretty much what it said was the students want to get a job, they want to learn stuff from experts, they want to get employed quickly, they want to make a bunch of money. So this whole course, English 3000, is about job preparation, and everything in it is about which jobs are available and what are the best ways to get those jobs. So in a sense, I feel like I'm addressing like the course itself as an example of student success practices insofar as we are defining student success the way that students define success. I also find the phrase student success kind of interesting and important because it's part of a big part of our new mission statement. So that will help indicate where resources are going to be flowing in the near future, which is probably, I'm guessing, away from the humanities. Okay, so I'm starting to realize a couple of things at this point in the presentation. One is that I talk too quickly and I am almost incoherent. I don't know how my students learn or hear everything I'm saying. And secondly, that I'm talking too much. I don't know why I was ever worried about making this long enough. So, these are potential assignments that I'm going to be using in the class, given that I'm still assembling the course. Well, one is, and these are make, not find assignments, although finding can be a good thing to do. So, describe your professional interests, include research that defends the viability of your career choices using a compact annotated bibliography. We talked about that earlier. It's going to be a collaborative bibliography, I believe. And then I'm going to ask them to identify which course is most closely aligned with their interests. And one possible assignment is to have them create a course outline for a course that would meet their needs but does not yet exist. They'll also be asked to identify key faculty members who can help them meet their goals. I noticed that the ability to network with faculty, that behavior sometimes can be tied to a student's background. Like the working class kids aren't as good at networking often as the middle and upper middle class kids are. I think that maybe class is kind of a narrow way of defining people, but that seems to be the case. So I think that's important. And also I always tell the kids, you know, look, one of your primary goals in your classes is to cultivate an appropriate relationship with your professor through your work so that you can ask for a later letter. And then they have to actually meet with a faculty member to talk about their goals, and then where it says summarize their findings in a short report, they'll actually be doing the aforementioned PowerPoint with the voiceover. Okay, here comes the part where I assign the course design rubric, and I hate to admit this, but I'm growing fond of rubrics. So one area I need to work on anyway is aligning every assignment with the course outcomes. And this is the thing I never do, which is tell the students how it's aligned and why it matters. As I mentioned earlier, the triad of purpose, tasks, and criteria is burned into my brain now. I'm going to make sure every assignment has the purpose, tasks, and criteria clearly defined, so that they know the reason for everything we do. That means I won't be able to create little improvisational, disposable assignments as much, which I'm fond of doing, but students hate them with a passion. So in general, I need to focus more on experiential learning in all of my classes. But in this class, what I really need to look at is problem-based activities. They're gathering information to try and solve a problem, which is how do I get a job in English major. But I'm thinking about what other problem-based activity can I put into the course that will be meaningful for them. So another area I need to work on is criteria, being very, very clear about the criteria. And the easiest way I found to do that is by using a rubric to evaluate all major assignments, provide examples. And in the English department, we're not as fond of templates. We teach genre, but we want students to understand that genres can be fluid and they can adapt to different audiences and purposes. And sometimes genres can be grabbed onto, or templates can be grabbed onto and used as hammers, as opposed to tools for learning. So this course, and many of my courses, don't have a lot of collaboration. Students complain about it and say they hate it. However, for this course, the summative final, I think I'm going to make it collaborative, and that should be interesting. In addition to the areas that I've talked about so far, what I'm planning on doing to enrich my teaching practice is to be much more clear and concise in my assignment descriptions. I've adopted courses from other instructors, and I hate the way they write when they describe assignments. They write like English majors with endless paragraphs, no bulleted lists, etc. I teach technical writing, so it drives me crazy. Also, I need to keep the course design within the semester as stable and static as possible, not be making things up all the time. One thing I really appreciated while taking this course is I could click the next button at the bottom right side of the screen and go to the next thing I needed to do. And there was no question and no surprises. And I need my students to be able to have that same consistent experience when they're taking my class. So along those lines, I can't be throwing in a lot of extra work or different assignments as we go. It just upsets them, and I need to have everything planned out fully in advance. And then my assessments need to be meaningful. In English 1010, we were being told for a long time through multiple assistant VPs that we needed to have a final exam in the exam room. And just recently they changed that, so we're allowed to have a final paper as a final exam, which makes perfect sense as a summative assessment, a way of measuring everything they're supposed to have learned in the writing course. You know, a portfolio works that way too. So in this course, the assessment all my assessments need to improve, but I need to go through and take that final paper and align it with the course outcomes and use that to make the rubric and explain to them, this is what we've done all semester long, this is what you need to know, and here's how I'm going to measure it in that final paper. So there we go. Thanks.